What is going on? It's Crazy1870, and I kind of just wanted to talk a little bit about what Apple rolled out yesterday. So we have all new, well, not all new, but a redesign, not even a redesign. We have an update to the MacBook Air. They added Retina display, which is about 4 times the res of the previous gen, which is awesome because the last previous gen MacBook Air, the display kind of looked a little bit washed out. So this is definitely going to do your video footage or your image justice, and just going to give you, a lot more of a clear image. We still have the headphone jack. They added a fingerprint scanner. They added a pair of Thunderbolt 3 ports. Now this is able to handle up to 2 external monitors depending on the resolution of the monitors. They added advanced, they updated the speakers to about 25% louder with more bass, new butterfly keyboard, and a larger trackpad. And Apple still managed to kind of get the MacBook Air just a little bit more lighter. Now, I was also checking out that, the kind of like the small little bezel on the display of the MacBook Air, that kind of like the aluminum one. Well, I think that's now gone. So it's now just a little more closer, kind of edge to edge screen. So that's pretty awesome. So $1,200 will get you the MacBook Air, 8 gigs of RAM, Core i5, 1.6 gigahertz CPU, and it's available November 7. I'm actually thinking about picking one up for myself. Now they also rolled out the new iPad Pros. You have a 11-inch iPad Pro and a 12.9-inch iPad Pro. 2 colors, silver and space gray all the way. You're able to pick these up in a 64. 256, 512, and a 1 terabyte. If you want to go ahead and max that out. They added a USB-C connector. Now that's pretty badass because you can actually hook up, well, not really hook up, but you can hook up your monitor. You can hook up your camera to the iPad Pro and pretty much transfer footage like that, or even use the iPad Pro as a monitor. Who else knows what else you can hook up to it? So that's not going to be rolling out until later on, until actually people get the actual iPad in their hands and kind of test it out. So I'm really looking forward to that. They did go with a liquid Retina display, same as the iPhone XR. A12 Bionic chip, records up to 4K video and has a 12 megapixel shooter in the rear end. And I was also checking out, they added a lot more gestures to the iPad Pro. There was one, I was checking out a video on The Verge, and you can pretty much, hold on the email app, drag it up to one side, and then you can still have your browser on the left-hand side, and you have your email on one side. So that was just one of the ones that I was checking out. So I thought that was pretty cool. Now, prices, I mean, this is where things kind of get a little bit wild. So if you want to go with the small one, 64 gigabyte will set you back about $800. And if you want to go all out, balls to the wall, a 1 terabyte will set you back about $1,550 for the small one. Now, if you want to go with the big boy 12.9-inch baseline model, will set you back $1,000. And if you want to go with the 1 terabyte, it's going to set you back $1,750. So it's almost the price of a MacBook. But nonetheless, I was also checking out the actual design, and I like it. It has sort of like this squarish edge on the edge of the iPad Pro, and I think the whole design of the iPad Pro looks really cool. I'm really looking forward to, picking one up and testing it out and see what it's all about. So they also rolled out their new Mac Mini, which is definitely due for an update. So it's now available in space gray, which is awesome. $800. I'll get you the 4-core, 3.6 quad-core Intel Core i3. If you want to go ahead and kind of bump up a little bit, you get the 6-core for $1,100. They are going to come with 8 gigs of RAM, but here is the story. It's not limited to 32 anymore. You can go ahead and bump it up all the way up to 64 gigabytes. And I mean, they made this little machine into a little mini beast. So 64 gigabytes. Now, I was reading at Apple Insider, I believe you are going to be able to get into the memory slots and kind of do that yourself. But you are going to have a problem, I think, trying to get to the SSD. So you could go ahead and configure it all the way up to a 2 terabyte. Obviously, it's going to cost you a little bit more money. Graphics, Intel UHD graphics 630. And as far as the ports, at the rear end of the machine, you have your power button, your power input, Ethernet. You can also update that as well, the connection, I think up to a 10 gigabytes. You now have 3 Thunderbolt USB-C connections on the rear end, HDMI 2.0, and 2 USB 3 ports. They still kept the headphone jack on the Mac Mini. I kind of would have wished that they would have still kept the SD card slot, but nonetheless, it is what it is. It also has a new fan system to kind of keep the machine a lot more fresh, a lot more cooler, depending on whatever processing or whatever you're doing on the machine. But I mean, this thing is, it's a little mini beast. So $800 will get you the 3.6 quad core, 128 gigabyte of storage. And if you want to go a little bit more up, you get the 3.0 gigahertz 6 core processor with turbo boost up to 4.1 with the 256 SSD storage for 1,100. Obviously, you could go in there and kind of just change, obviously, your memory. But like I said earlier, it is going to cost you some money. So that's pretty much it for this one. Let me know in the comments below what was your favorite product as far as the refresh, MacBook Air, Mac Mini, or even the iPad Pro. I also forgot to mention about the pin. So it has this really cool kind of magnet type of thing on top of the iPad where it pretty much connects and it automatically charges a pin. That thing is super, super sick. Nonetheless, there's a lot to cover. Don't forget to check out the 2 latest videos. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I'm also working on the iPhone XR. There's this feature on this phone that it's like in portrait mode within the camera. You can pretty much adjust the shallow depth of field, your f-stop within the actual camera, which is super dope. I'm going to go ahead and touch bases on that in the full review. Make sure to be on the lookout for that. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.